Flock. Talk to them, my dog.
Bronx drill rapper K-Flock is in a very difficult situation after one of his own people, Brockington, who is known as Douche in the streets, decided to testify against him. Douche was arrested for selling drugs, but he made a deal to save himself by giving information about Flock. This came as a big shock because the case is about a 2020 incident where Flock is accused of using a firearm against someone who had used one against his friend. That friend was Douche himself, and now he is the one helping the prosecutors. In court, the prosecutors questioned Douche about what happened after he was shot. They wanted to know the details of what followed, especially about any phone calls he received while he was recovering in the hospital. Douche did not hesitate to answer. He admitted that one of the calls came from K-Flock. He told the court, "KK called. He said, 'You know we got you, bro.'" The prosecutors were not satisfied with just that. They wanted to make sure there was no confusion about who KK was. So, they asked Douche directly, "When you say KK, are you talking about K-Flock?" Douche confirmed it without hesitation, saying, "Yes." The prosecutors did not stop there. They wanted to dig deeper. They asked him if K-Flock had actually taken revenge for him after the incident. The courtroom was silent, waiting for Douche's response. After a brief pause, he answered, "Yes." His statement carried a lot of weight, as it suggested that Flock had acted in retaliation. But the prosecutors still wanted more details. They pressed him further, asking if anyone else was hurt during the shooting. Douche nodded and added that someone had been grazed by a bullet during the incident. His testimony was a crucial moment in the trial. The prosecutors were working hard to build a strong case against Flock, and Douche's words supported their argument. He had just confirmed that K-Flock had been involved in what seemed to be a revenge shooting. This moment in court showed how serious the case had become. It was no longer just about whether K-Flock was involved, it was about proving his intentions and actions. Douche's testimony was now a key part of the prosecution's strategy. But while the prosecutors were confident in their approach, the defense was preparing to challenge everything. K-Flock's legal team knew that statements made in court could be used to shape the jury's opinion. They were ready to fight back, questioning Douche's credibility and the reliability of his claims. As the trial continued, people outside the courtroom followed the case closely. Fans, legal experts, and the media all had their own opinions. Some believed that Flock was being unfairly targeted, while others thought that the evidence against him was too strong to ignore. Regardless of the different opinions, one thing was clear: Douche's testimony had added a new layer of complexity to the case. The trial was far from over, and the truth was still being uncovered. Only time would tell what the final verdict would be and whether K-Flock could prove his innocence or if his fate was already sealed. The most serious part was when they asked Douche if Flock had a firearm that day. Douche said yes, and also said that Flock was on the phone with rival gang members who were circling their block. His words match what happened to Oscar Hernandez, who lost his life that day. After that, Flock's best friend, B. Lovey, also spoke about the situation. Even with all of this, Flock sounded calm in a recent jail call. However, this testimony could make it much harder for him to get released.
But so I saw some fans who were off at both me and academics after K-Flock got locked up because well,
the case files explain how everything happened, but the question is whether K-Flock is guilty or not. According to court papers, on December 23, 2021, K-Flock was charged in connection with the passing of Oscar Hernandez. On that day, cameras recorded Flock walking down a city sidewalk with his sister. He wore a blue coat, a SHYY mask, and designer jeans. Just a few minutes before he appeared in the footage, he was on Instagram Live, arguing with his rivals. After that, he put his phone away and kept walking. As Flock passed by a barbershop, Oscar Hernandez saw him from inside. Without thinking, Oscar ran outside and confronted him, asking, "What are you looking at?" There was already tension between them, and they started arguing. Since Flock was with his sister, he did not want any trouble, so he kept walking. But Oscar did not stop. At first, he paused, as if he was going to go back inside the shop. But then, he changed his mind and decided to follow Flock. What happened next would change everything. As Oscar reached into his jacket pockets, Flock quickly saw the danger. His sister was with him, and he did not want to take any chances. Worried for their safety, he pulled out a firearm from his own jacket and fired at Oscar. The bullets hit Oscar multiple times. He tried to run back into the barbershop, but his body gave up, and he fell to the ground. Once Flock stopped shooting, he ran away, leaving Oscar lying on the sidewalk. People who saw what happened quickly called 911, hoping to save his life. Paramedics arrived fast and took him to a nearby New York hospital, but sadly, he did not survive. At the crime scene, police found only a few shell casings and the slides Oscar had been wearing. Meanwhile, rapper Bobby Shmurda was asked about K Flock's situation. He called it crazy and spoke highly of him, saying, "He is the next big artist coming out of New York. I love Flock. That is my guy. I am wishing him the best, and I hope he beats these charges. He has a bright future ahead of him." It would be a sad story if this is how it ends, but we have to stay positive. For the first 24 hours after the incident, the NYPD had no idea who was behind the shooting. They carefully reviewed security footage from the scene, hoping to find clues. However, the person responsible was wearing a mask, which made it very difficult to identify him. Since the footage did not clearly show his face, investigators did not have a strong lead to follow. With no immediate answers, the police decided to turn to the public for help. They released the footage, asking anyone who might recognize the suspect to come forward with information. At first, it seemed like the case would take time to solve, but then something unexpected happened. Because K Flock was already a well-known figure, his fame actually worked against him. His fans started examining the security footage closely, looking for any small details that could help them figure out who the masked person was. It did not take long before people noticed something familiar: the outfit. Earlier that same day, K Flock had posted a picture of himself on Instagram. In the post, he was wearing a designer outfit that looked exactly like the one seen in the security footage. The similarity was impossible to ignore. His fans quickly put two and two together and started spreading the information. Once the police received enough tips from the public, they decided to take action. Investigators gathered the details, reviewed the footage again, and compared it with the photos from Flock's social media. The evidence was strong enough for them to issue a warrant for his arrest. At this point, K Flock realized that the situation was serious. He knew that once law enforcement was after him, there was no way to avoid it. Instead of trying to run or hide, he decided to handle things legally. He reached out to his lawyer, who quickly stepped in to help. His lawyer made arrangements with the police and accompanied Flock to the station, ensuring that he turned himself in the right way. While some people saw this as a smart move, others believed that his chances of proving his innocence were already getting slim. This entire situation raised a lot of discussions about how quickly things can turn against public figures, especially in the age of social media. What seemed like an ordinary Instagram post ended up playing a key role in linking Flock to a serious crime. The case also showed how law enforcement relies on public involvement to solve cases. While investigators had struggled to identify the masked suspect, it was the public that provided the missing pieces. But whether this meant Flock was truly guilty or not was still something that needed to be decided in court. For now, he had no choice but to prepare for the legal battle ahead. The evidence against him was stacking up, and only time would tell if he could fight the charges or if this moment would change his life forever. Before turning himself in, Flock hired a strong lawyer. His lawyer walked with him into the police station. Soon after, the lawyer released a statement saying, "Yesterday, I went with Kevin as he turned himself in at the 30th precinct. Arrangements had already been made with the NYPD once I learned he was wanted. We have started our own investigation, and we will talk about bail after we review the case fully." As the case moved forward, the defense team focused on self-defense. When Oscar was found on the ground, police discovered that he had a loaded firearm in his pocket, and his hand was on it when he was shot. Flock's lawyer argued, if someone with a long criminal record walks up to you with a loaded weapon, Do you wait or protect yourself? My client made a decision in that moment.
What's it like for you watching the K Flock thing happen? That's crazy. Next big artist coming out of New York.
I love Flock, so I like that. That's my guy.
Okay.
The NYPD later said they believed the shooting was connected to an old street rivalry. Police found that Flock had strong ties to the Bronx Third Side Crew, a group linked to different street crimes over the years. As the case continues, many questions remain about what really happened that day. Over the years, K Flock became a well-known name in the streets. He had power, but that also made him a target. His rivals were always looking for a chance to strike back. While his lawyers worked to prove that he acted in self-defense, things became much worse when a federal grand jury charged him with multiple racketeering conspiracy charges, also known as RICO charges. The hip-hop community reacted right away because everyone knows how serious a RICO case is. DJ Academics shared the news, saying, K Flock just got a RICO charge, it is over. He also said, the feds just unsealed an indictment against him. If he does not win this case or cooperate with them, he will get life in prison. He is still facing state charges too. Pray for him. Boosie and others started comparing K Flock's situation to that of rapper YNW Melly. Many believe that when federal agents set their sights on someone, they do everything possible to keep them locked up. Boosie once shared his thoughts on this, explaining how the system works. He said that once the government decides to go after someone, there is little chance of escape. He pointed out how YNW Melly's case was handled. Boosie believed the authorities had been waiting for the right moment to move against Melly. He explained that they kept him in jail for 2 or 3 years without rushing to take him to trial. Then, when a new law was passed, they immediately moved forward with the case. To him, this was no coincidence. He suggested that the system is designed to keep certain people behind bars for as long as possible. Boosie spoke with frustration, saying that when federal agents decide they want someone, they will not stop until they get them. He believed that Melly was a perfect example of this. Instead of taking him to trial right away, they waited for a law that would make it harder for him to fight his case. Then, as soon as that law was in place, they wasted no time in bringing him to court. This situation made Boosie question whether justice was truly being served. He suggested that if the case was really as strong as prosecutors claimed, they would not have needed to wait so long. Instead, he saw it as a strategic move to make sure Melly had fewer options when it was time to face trial. This discussion made people wonder if the same thing was happening to K Flock. Some believed the authorities had been watching him for a long time, just waiting for the perfect opportunity to charge him with something bigger. His supporters feared that, like Melly, he was up against a system that was working against him from the start. The conversation about the justice system and how it treats rappers is not new. Many artists have spoken about feeling targeted by the police and the government. Some believe that as soon as a rapper gains fame, authorities start building a case against them, waiting for the right time to take them down. For now, K Flock's fate remains uncertain. But if Boosie is right, his case might be about more than just what happened on that sidewalk. It might be part of a bigger pattern, one that has already affected other rappers before him. Even with the serious charges, K Flock's lawyer stayed confident. He released a statement saying, "We are not surprised by the federal charges. We have been fighting Kevin's state case for over a year now, and from the start, it was clear that this was self-defense. Now, they're using it to build a bigger case, and that is shocking." The video shows Kevin walking away before the other person tried to attack him. Only then did Kevin defend himself and his sister from someone who was about to pull out a weapon. There was some hope for K Flock when the first day of his trial ended. Court reporters said that the prosecutors looked unprepared. They were struggling to answer the judge's questions and could not bring strong evidence against K Flock. At the end of the trial, Flock looked emotional, which was understandable since it was his first time in court. His lawyers spoke to him and told him that they were going to win the case. Later, his legal team shared a message from him in jail. "I am good, man. I will be back very soon. Shout out to my fans and my supporters. I love all of you. I will be back with you all soon." But K Flock is not the only rapper under federal watch. Just last week, Lil Baby was mentioned in an Atlanta police investigation. Authorities talked about a tragic case where a 13-year-old boy lost his life, blaming gang activity and a local rapper's actions. One officer said, "This was a cowardly act by an Atlanta rapper who chose to film a music video in a rival gang's area, knowing it would lead to violence. Because of that, 2 children lost their lives." Another rapper, Young Gene Ace, was also named in a police report from Jacksonville. A sheriff from the area said, "We have been watching him and his group for a long time. We have officers keeping an eye on them at all times. Right now, we do not have an open case against him, but he cannot move around Jacksonville without us knowing. And that is for the safety of our community."